Thanks so much for joining today. As Matt said, my name is Riley, and I am going to be walking us through how to develop a road project, and specifically one that would make your road eligible for dirt, gravel, and low volume road grant funding. All of the pictures that are used in this presentation today are projects that we've funded in Allegheny County through the program. So if you are stuck on thinking of project examples, which I find that hard to believe, but in case it happens, these are some great projects that we were able to accomplish here in the county. A little bit about the program itself. The Dirt and Gravel Road program provides funding to municipalities to improve roads that are negatively impacting streams of the Commonwealth. Our funding comes from the state transportation bill, and it allocates $28 million across 66 of the 67 Pennsylvania counties. How much funding each county receives is determined using an algorithm that gives more funding to counties with higher levels of dirt and gravel or low volume roads. Low volume roads were added to the program in 2015, and that is when ACCD officially rejoined the program. A low volume road is a paved road with 500 cars per day or fewer that we measure on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday between March 1st and the week before Thanksgiving. Just to tell you a little bit about this project that's pictured here, this was a drainage improvement project that we completed in Lincoln Borough in 2019. This project combined funding with the Dirt and Gravel Roads program, as well as funding from Multimodal and CITF. The entire project involved drainage improvements on the upslope side of the road and relocating the road away from a slide that had occurred. There were a few slides on this hillside, but there was one in particular that first drew our attention to the road, and it was really a team effort to get this project accomplished. In a typical year, Allegheny County's grant cycle opens June 1st and closes August 31st. We receive our program funds each summer and typically have $80,000 to fund dirt and gravel road projects and $215,000 to fund low volume road projects. This year is a little bit special, so we are actually opening our grant cycle tomorrow, March 1st. We will be accepting applications on a rolling basis because we have more funding than ever to give to our municipalities. We have about $180,000 for dirt and gravel road projects and $600,000 for low volume road projects. If this is your first time hearing about the program, or maybe you've had some ideas for projects in the past and haven't submitted an application, this is a really great year to get your project through the door because we have so much funding and we're really looking to help out as many municipalities as possible. This project pictured here, we completed last year in Oakdale Borough. This was a stream bank stabilization project. The tight conditions here on the road really made stabilizing the stream bank with riprap our best option. So we stabilized that section and then also added drainage on the other side of the road to capture runoff that was coming from the hillside on the other side. Roads that are eligible for our funding is really quite simple. It's any dirt and gravel surfaced road. We just cannot pay to pave a dirt and gravel road, but there are a number of surfacing options that we have through the program. Low volume roads, so anything paved that has 500 cars per day or fewer. And then specifically, we're looking at roads that have water management issues, especially water management coupled with an environmental concern. So anything that might have some stormwater management issues, flooding, erosion of the roadway, maybe that's from a landslide, maybe that's from stream bank erosion, maybe that's just from unmanaged surface water. We will fund projects that have to do with combined storm sewer systems, especially if they include disconnecting a storm sewer and improving infiltration on the site. We will fund stream crossings and also green infrastructure projects, rain gardens, permeable pavers, other green infrastructure that you might be thinking of are all good fits for the program. And this list isn't comprehensive, so if you have other project ideas in mind or road concerns, it's absolutely something that we can talk about. I would categorize our applications that we typically receive in Allegheny County into three main categories. And this is what I'm really going to focus on for this presentation. But again, if you have another type of concern, like a stream bank stabilization project, or, you know, a dirt and gravel road that is really eroded and kind of falls outside some of the scopes of these drainage improvement practices, it's something that I would love to come out and take a look at, and we can talk through some solutions together. So the first type of project that we typically look at is drainage improvement. So this photo here, above drainage improvement, was a project we funded in Braddock Hills this past year. And we have some pictures of what this project looked like after we had made some repairs. So we can see that the pavement on this section of road was significantly compromised. There were very few drainage features on this road, and the ones that were there were not functioning properly with the way the road profile was looking at this point. So when we're looking at drainage improvement, we're looking at improving infiltration, disconnecting drainage patterns so that we're having a smaller volume of water exiting through our drainage features, reducing the amount of water on the road surface and also the water that could be saturating the road base. All good things that are great use for program funding. We also fund a lot of landslide repairs. This particular landslide we worked on in 2021 and 2022 in Glassport Borough. Projects that both repair the affected landslide area and also work to mitigate the causes of the landslide itself, whether that was surface drainage, whether that was spring seeps, is a really good fit for the DGLBR funding. This is an environmental grant program, and so slides in particular, when they're located above streams, it makes a really compelling argument for reducing that amount of sediment that could be coming off of that slide and entering into our waterways. Another really common project that we see in Allegheny County is a stream crossing replacement. This stream crossing is in Brentwood Borough, and we will be replacing this crossing coming up here in 2023. So any crossing that is not meeting the at least 1.5, the bank full width of the stream, anything under 75%, that is eligible for replacement using dirt and gravel road funds. So replacing these underside crossings can help to reduce flooding on the road, erosion of the roadway and stream bank, and then also, again, accomplishing those environmental goals of the program. So re-establishing natural stability in the channel, improving passage for aquatic organisms, and overall rehabilitating that stream environment. When you're thinking about what kind of road project you might want to do, the first thing that you need to do is identify what kinds of roads you want to be looking at. And there's a couple different ways that we recommend you go about doing this. So, any road that might have water management issues, that's a really great place to start. But there are some other categories of roads that we might consider as well. How high does a road fall on your municipal priority list? Are there roads that are constant maintenance headaches, going out and unclogging drains or going out and patching the road time and time again because potholes are a major issue? There could be roads that have really hazardous conditions, lots of icing, especially in the winters we get here in Pittsburgh. We have a lot of steep slopes, and controlling that water in the wintertime is really critical to making sure they stay safe. Or, maybe there's also a road where you have a lot of residents that are unhappy with their road condition. They say the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and sometimes that's the best place to start, is roads where you have a consistent number of complaints. This road that's pictured here, this is in City of Pittsburgh, and we awarded City of Pittsburgh a grant to work on this project here in 2023. We visited this site over the summer. It had been a particularly dry couple of days, though you wouldn't quite know it from this picture because of the amount of water seeping from the hillsides and deteriorating this road. There is a slide a little bit further up, and overall just a lot of unmanaged water. So it was a really, really good site for a project. Once you've identified a good location for a roads project, then it's time to figure out what kind of practices you want to be installing on that road for your grant application. So the Dirt and Gravel Roads program hinges on the concept of environmentally sensitive maintenance practices. And these are low-cost alternatives to road maintenance that work in congruence with the natural and built environments. What we can see here is an example of one of those practices. So this is what we call a French mattress, and maybe some of you have heard of it, maybe some of you not, but this is a great practice for roads that are in low-lying areas that might be close to the water table, that have a lot of road-based saturation issues. And we excavate a portion of the road, lay in some geotech fabric, fill that in with some larger stone material, and then wrap both ends of the geotech fabric over top of one another. This creates almost like a rock burrito that allows water to be safely conveyed from one side of the road to the other without saturating that road base. And the last picture we have here is what it looks like once it's covered, and then we would reestablish the road over top of that slightly elevated portion. The environmentally sensitive maintenance practices go beyond just a concept. It's also a certification that's required to apply for the grant program. The ESM training is offered through the Penn State Center for Dirt and Gravel Roads. It's 2 days, and they have locations across the state. It runs from 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. Any municipal staff can attend, but we typically recommend someone who would be involved in project selection or road maintenance be the municipal representative. This training is required to apply for the grant, but the concepts are really useful for general road maintenance. A lot of our municipalities here in Allegheny County are operating on small budgets, and so knowing a good set of tools in your tool chest that can be low-cost solutions to handle some of your big headaches is a really useful set of information to have. This stream crossing here pictured was one that we completed in Swickley Heights in 2022. This was something that we had worked on that was a little bit closer to some of our new standards for our stream crossing policy, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. But I really wanted to call out in this picture, in the foreground, we can see how the water is kind of rippling down into the structure. These were additional grade controls that we installed as part of the project, and something that we implemented to help reconnect the stream channel, improve that continuity, and control the water as it's approaching the culvert. If you're interested in signing up for an environmentally sensitive maintenance training this year, you're in luck, because there are a lot of excellent options that fit very well in our grant cycle. The first training date is going to be April 12th and 13th at Seven Springs. Anyone who's participating in the Allegheny League of Municipalities conference this year, this ESM training is the Wednesday, Thursday before the conference. So it's a great opportunity to do both and get a lot of information on resources for your municipality. But if you can't make that one, that's okay, because there will be another training offered on May 16th and 17th at the Pittsburgh Marriott North in Cranberry. And then later in the summer on August 16th and 17th at the Doubletree by Hilton in Washington County. If it's the first time your municipality is going to be certified for ESM, ACCD is offering mileage and hotel reimbursement up to $300 so that we can get as many new people certified as possible. The certification lasts for 5 years. So getting it taken care of now, you can, see how it helps you apply for the grant, and also the benefits of being able to incorporate those practices into your day-to-day. You've identified a road project, you have signed up for your ESM training, or you already have your ESM training, and now it's time to look at what practices specifically you're going to be implementing on the roads. And for today's presentation, I really broke it down into the drainage, the slide repairs, and the stream crossings, because that's a lot of the applications we get here. But again, if you have something else in mind, I'd love to chat about it. But starting off with our drainage practices, this is a picture of the road we repaired in Braddock Hills, Montana Avenue. This was a complete drainage project that we worked on that heavily featured under drain with cross pipes. This is a great practice for seeping hillsides. It's a good practice for areas with ample room in the right of way. With good amount of room in the right of way, we can make sure that we have lots of cross pipes, which allow for small amounts of water to be discharged at each interval. This reduces the pressure at your outlet and keeps your outlet stable, reduces your overall need for maintenance because it's less wear and tear on each of these individual sites. And having a lot of room in the right of way allows for that water to be discharged, with minimal concerns from your residents who might think that this practice would increase flooding on their property. But, what we're really seeing in the field doesn't match those concerns. And if you want to do a project that has cross pipes and might have less room in the right of way, we can definitely come out and talk to your residents and alleviate any concerns that this practice might not work, because it does. And that's why we promote it. Other options for installing drainage practices. We worked on this project here in Lincoln Borough. This was a very heavily populated street. There were a lot of houses, a lot of yards. It was a very steep hill. And so the best fit for the drainage practices here was to install inlets and catch basins and then have a stable outlet point. One of the ways that we work towards the environmental goals of the program with these inlets was installing water quality inserts. And this helped also with the borough meeting some of their MS4 sediment reduction requirements. This captured stormwater safely from the road and helped with the limited amount of space that was available. We also installed, you can see here on the right side of the picture, the kind of paved looking parking area. Those were permeable pavers, and that was a practice that we used so that we could have in higher storm events, a low flow channel would direct storm water to that area and allow water to infiltrate. So we were reducing pressure at our outlet. Permeable pavers are absolutely an option if you are looking to install a green infrastructure practice that also might improve, wildlife habitat or biodiversity. Rain gardens are also something that can be funded through the program. Another really popular request that we get through our Dirt and Gravel Roads program are slide repairs. So this particular slide repair we completed in Swickley Heights on Pink House Road. This was a very deep and steep repair. And so what we opted to do for this particular site was to reconstruct the hillside using a geosynthetically reinforced soil wall. And what this did was create stable layers that then had the strength that we could put the road back over top of this section. The key to slide repairs is, creating that stable hillside, but also correcting any water concerns that might have caused the initial slide. So what are we doing to capture drainage that might have been eroding over your roadway and eating away at that hillside? Are there spring seeps that were maybe contributing to the slide in the first place? For this project, we included some additional drainage in the wall so that we were capturing any spring seeps and protecting our investment. This is a picture of our slide that we completed in Glassport Borough. There were some key things to consider both for this project and other slide repair projects. Does the road need to be constructed on top of the repair? In the case of Swickley, yes, we wanted to make sure that we had that stability, so we opted for a practice that we could rebuild the road over top of. In this situation, we wanted to have a little bit more infiltration capacity on the hillside itself, so we opted for a vegetated geocell wall. This created the stability that we were looking for in the slide impacted area, but also allowed for a little extra biodiversity and infiltration capacity. We also need to consider, again, how are we going to keep the water off of our repaired slide? Do we need to have an under drain on the other side of the road to keep water from sheet flowing over the hillside? Do we need to be capturing spring seeps and install drainage into the hillside so that we can make sure that it's not going to slide again? Are there ways that we can cut the water off at the top of the hill to make sure that it's not going to impact our investment? Moving on, I'm going to talk a little bit about stream crossings. Stream crossings are a really popular practice here in this part of the state. We have a lot of roads that are very close, right on top of streams, and not leaving us a whole ton of room to find different locations for the road. So sometimes it has to go over a stream, and there were old ways of making these crossings that I'm sure you've seen in the field just are not working in some cases. So we can use our dirt and gravel road and low volume road funding to replace these crossings. So when can we do that? Anytime a pipe is smaller than 75% of the bank full width of the stream, or anytime a stream is passing through multiple pipes on a road, like if you have 2 or 4 or as many pipes as they thought was appropriate at the time, that would be immediately eligible to receive dirt and gravel or low volume funding. So what is this bank full width that I keep going on about? The bank full width is when we see the average width of the channel when the water is at the bank full elevation. Here's a little bit of a graphic to explain what we're looking for. And when we're putting in new structures, we want those structures to be exceeding the bank full width. And it might seem a little excessive in some cases, but the reason that we want these structures to be so large is because we are recreating that whole channel through the pipe And this allows for the water to pass, for aquatic organisms to pass, any kinds of materials. We might see some stream crossings here in the county where it's a really flashy urban channel and your pipes are being plugged with tires or cinder blocks and other kinds of debris. And by making sure that our structure is sized appropriately, we're allowing for all kinds of materials to make it through and not erode the stream channel, wash out the stream banks leading up to the structure, or scouring at the outlet. An example of something that we've seen in the field that you can use as reference for this bank full width determination. If we come out and there's a 10-foot wide stream channel and there's a 36-inch concrete round pipe that has been used as a stream crossing for a long time, that pipe is only meeting 30% of the bank full width and is immediately eligible for replacement with dirt and gravel roads funding. Sometimes we have roads with multiple crossings on the road. And when we come up with a situation like that, we have a couple of options. Obviously, you could apply for a project that is addressing all of the crossings on your road at one time. Typically, with our funding availability, we would want to prioritize starting with one crossing, maybe phasing the project. And when we do this, we like to try and start with the crossing furthest downstream, because as we're increasing the size of our structures, if we start with the crossing at the top of the stream, that is going to allow for so much more water to be coming out of that structure and could potentially cause even more damage downstream. So by starting downstream, we're creating larger openings and moving our way up. There have been quite a few changes to the dirt and gravel road stream crossing policy. And if you've worked with the program before, this might seem different. If this is your first time working with the program, welcome. And this is something that we will work very closely together on if we decide to do a stream crossing. So our new dirt and gravel stream crossing policy has a technical manual, and there is a specific section that is geared towards the engineering community. So if you are an engineer, or if you're a municipality that's working with an engineer on a stream crossing, this is a resource that's available to you to kind of help guide through some of these changes, because it's an environmental grant. So there are things that might go above and beyond what is typically expected of a stream crossing. Part of that is that the new policy requires the utilization of a longitudinal profile, and this is performed by the Conservation District. It's a survey that we complete that is looking for what the stream channel slope would be. How are we going to connect stable conditions that we're seeing upstream of a crossing to stable conditions downstream of a crossing? What kind of grade controls do we need to have in place? How far apart do they need to be? What might the natural stream channel really look like? And that helps us to get a good idea for what we're restoring the stream channel to look like and create the most stable conditions possible. For these projects, we would like to have a pre-design meeting, and this gives us an opportunity to review with the municipality, with the engineer, with the Conservation District, the results of the longitudinal profile, and ensure that the stream crossing designs that we're going to be recommending are understood by everyone who's participating in the project, because that piece of communication is so key. And we don't want to leave any room for misunderstanding. It slows down the project and doesn't help anyone in the long run. Our requirements for the GP7 and the GP11 permits are requiring a little bit of extra detail. The Conservation District can help with a pre-review of the permit and taking a second look to make sure that all of the requirements for the Dirt and Gravel Roads program are being met and help work through any questions that might come up. But in these new permit details, we're looking for closer to a 90% design. We want to see that there are specific stream bed mix designs. So the material that we're putting through the pipes to reestablish that stream channel are a mix of some larger material, some smaller material, and some native stream bed material. We're requiring stations and elevations of the in-stream grade control structures, and then also specifications on how that stream bed material will be placed through our new crossing and establish our bank margins and our low flow channel. Some cases, it makes sense to be hand placing material. Some situations, we can use equipment to place stream bed material and establish our low flow channel. And in other situations, we need to use a hydraulic wash-in of fines. These additional details seem like a lot for the permitting phase, but one of the useful pieces is that we can then take these this complex package and then add it to our bid and have our project designs ready to go earlier in the project versus working on that once we move into the bidding phase. I've mentioned this briefly, but it's certainly worth talking about in a little more detail. The Dirt and Gravel Roads program is very focused on having the conservation districts available to the municipalities and to their engineers as a resource. So we manage every aspect of this program, from the administrative pieces like reviewing applications, working on contracting, financial reporting, project closeout. We work on educational pieces, so doing program promotion and recruitment. We help to promote the ESM program. We are all ESM certified. So if there are ever questions about certain practices, that's something you can come to the Conservation District with those questions. We have ongoing staff training requirements, and then we also offer education opportunities for municipalities. We do things like field days or application writing workshops. There are a lot of opportunities to talk about this program with your conservation district representative. We also offer a great deal of technical assistance. So if you have some ideas for projects, but you're not sure which ones might be the best, we can help with project selection. We can help to identify some best practices that could be used to strengthen or that should be left out of an application. We hold pre-application meetings, we'll pre-review permits, we perform construction oversight, and then offer final project approval. You're feeling inspired after this presentation, and I don't blame you. So how do you go about applying for the Dirt and Gravel Roads grant? The first step would be to get your ESM certification. You can register for a course now, or maybe you already have your ESM certification and you're ready to move forward and schedule a pre-application meeting. Spring is a great time for pre-application meetings. We can really use this time to, identify what projects are good ones to apply for immediately, which ones we should spend more time developing an application in the long run. But because it's so wet right now, we're really able to see the road conditions and how the water is interacting with the road, best identify problems. It's a great time to get out in the field and take a look at some roads. You would then put together your application. If you have a low volume road that you're applying for, you would need to perform a traffic count. And this is something that your conservation district can help you with. And then you would apply for funds. As a reminder, our grant cycle here in Allegheny County is opening tomorrow, and I am already scheduling pre-application meetings. So if you would like to set something up with me, please reach out. Here's my contact information. And if you are with another county, we have the contact information for Beaver, Butler, and Washington. If you are outside of this Western PA region and you're looking for another conservation district contact, you can always reach out and we can help you track them down, or reach out to your local conservation district office. Thanks so much for coming to my presentation. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them now, or you can feel free to reach out after.
Hey, thank you so much, Riley, for the presentation and rounding out this year's webinar workshop series. Just before we take a few questions for attendees today, please note that emails will be sent after today's session. Emails will be sent to the email address you registered with through Eventbrite. The email will contain some resources from Riley, a PDF of today's presentation, and a link to a survey, and also an acknowledgement of attendance with continuing education credits. Please do take some time to fill out the survey. We look at them for each session. It helps us craft future events. This email is going to be coming from a company account from Allegheny County Conservation District. Please check your junk folder if you do not receive this email. While this is the end of our 2023 E&S workshop webinar series, we do have other education outreach events coming up this spring and summer. Please do check out our website, accdpa.org, for details and registration. If there are any questions, do feel free to take some time, put them in the Q&A chat. At this time, there is only one question on whether or not the ESM training is available for Canadian municipalities.
That is something that I would need to check on. The ESM training is free to attend. It would be kind of a long drive from Canada, but I'm sure I can get that answer for you and send that out afterwards.
Yeah. Okay, just multiple things in the questions about thanking you for a good presentation and looking forward to working with you again with some municipalities who have used the program monies before. A question about the funding and what it funds. Is the available funding for construction only, not design?
So an awarded contract, we can pay for up to $25,000 for engineering, which would include any design. The application itself is very, very simple. So I recommend to all of our applicants that when we're meeting to talk about projects, that we wait on, doing any kind of formal engineering drawings until after the project is awarded. The application itself, it requires, it could be a sketch, something very simple that gives us an idea of what you're looking to fund for your project, without spending a lot of money pre-contract for engineering. Some cases it makes sense. We've had people apply for slide projects that have gone through the stages of looking at a design, getting their geotechnical report together, and then deciding that the project is too expensive to complete with only a municipal budget. And so they come to us with that project already in mind, and they can use our money to fund the construction phase.
Just an offer from one of the municipalities that's worked with ACCD before. Nate Briggs in Sewickley Heights Borough has used DGLVR program funds several times and worked with Riley. And Nate just wanted the attendees to know that he's available to discuss or meet on site to review projects or give background on his experience using the program. So again, that's Nate Briggs in Swickley Heights Borough. Due to any unforeseen circumstances, if there are budget exceedances, how is that typically handled?
I recommend to all of our applicants that when they're applying, they increase their project ask by 5 or 10% to allow for some budgetary flexibility. There's no penalty if your project comes in under budget. So if you ask for more than you end up needing, that's fine. We'll just keep the money. But if we are working on a project and something comes up and we need more funds, we are allowed to increase the project budget. That's something that I would advocate for especially if we're already under construction and we've been working on the project and we need more money. If it's in the budget of the district, we will definitely work to get the project the funding it needs.
Mhm.
We had a project where we did a landslide repair and we had completed probably 90% of the work when there was a problem with a new spring seep that had come up, and it had completely washed out the toe of our slope after we had done our repair. And so we were able to, go back into our budget, see what kinds of additional funding we needed, make sure that we had the resources needed that project would be successful. Sometimes things like that happen, and we're really flexible with making sure the project gets what it needs.
Okay, there are no more questions in the chat. So thank you, everybody, for taking some time to join today. Again, look for that email from us coming later this afternoon. Riley, thank you so much. This concludes our 2023 E&S Workshop webinar series. And again, just recommending anybody who's interested in more education outreach events from the Conservation District, check our website, accdpa.org, for future events. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good afternoon.